Hey guys, welcome to Grade in 10. Today I want to show you my approach to grading a shot from a commercial spot that we produced that has a whole lot of mixed temperature lighting. So let's get it started. All right, here is the shot. The first thing I'm going to do is jump down to project settings, change color management to YRGB color managed. Now DaVinci is going to recognize my red Gemini 5K and push the footage straight over to Rec 709. Kaboom. There we are. Now we are looking at an image that was shot in a real living room. The talent is sitting on the couch facing a bank of windows. So over frame left, there's a huge bank of windows. It's a fall afternoon, very sunny outside. We controlled it, but we also leveraged it. To the right, we have some fixtures right over here. And there's also stuff down the hallway that's illuminating like that photo you see in the background. So we are going to take this from straight out of the camera to kaboom there. And it's not going to be a super complex episode. There's only 9 nodes here, so let's get jamming. First of all, I shall delete them all. Oh, I bypassed color. All right, here we go. First thing I'm going to do, drop a little denoise. Takes care of all denoise when you denoise. I'm going to do 2 frames, put it on small. I just want to catch a little bit of gunk that might be under these shadows down here. We were shooting ISO 800. Sometimes if it's bright enough interior, I like to shoot ISO 400 because it just cleans up the sensor. But in this case, we shot, I believe, at 800. I'm going to jump just a little bit of this spatial in there. And I don't want to lose detail like in her face, but we're going to bring it back at the end as well. So, denoising. Next up, exposure. Let's jam on some exposure. Just going to grab the top end. I'm watching these hot spots right here. Little hot spots right there. I'm just going to bring this up until I don't want to crush them too much. Just want to let them live somewhere in there. Happy little hot spots. Now I'm going to grab kind of the upper chunk of my mids. I'm just going to bring it up. I want this living room to sing. I want it to feel like it is the brightest, happiest day of your life. And I know there's a little bit of a, if everything's lit, nothing's lit, but this is a commercial spot. It's actually a product ditty. There's a product being featured in this spot, and I just want to make it feel like it's the happiest day of your product's existence. Let's go right in there for now. We're going to go to the next node. I'm going to call this primaries. And I'm just going to play around to kind of even out the tops with my my gain. I'm going to roll it just a touch cooler. I want to get my whites as white as they can be, as white as the whites can be. I don't know why I said it that way. And then I'm going to play with the mids on the gamma. I just want to tinker with that. I want to warm up the middle section just ever so slightly. And I'm going to leave my lift alone right now because that's feeling pretty good. All right, let's add another node. We'll call this contrast. I'm thinking to myself, this might be the first grade in 10 that's actually 10 because this is not a really hard shot. We spent a lot of time lighting this. A sip of water, sorry. We spent a lot of time lighting this scene because we were shooting wides, mediums, tights. We just wanted to be able to move quickly. So, yeah, when it came out of the camera, it already looked really good. Contrast. Let's play with just dropping a little bit right in here. I don't want to lose too much detail in things like the blanket behind her, but I am going to just push and pull here and there to tighten it up. The off, on. If we audition it, you can see the difference. I've said it before, I'll say it all the time. Like, I love curves. It's the visual equivalent of audio EQ. If you've ever EQ'd music, you know, like the bass and the low ends down here, and you know, the cymbals and the, you know, high strings and the electric guitar are up in here. And I'm a musician, so I've EQ'd for many years, and so to me this is visual EQ. I love the wheels. I love them for some very specific reasons, but there are times I just want to grab a curve and just, you know, push some 2 kilohertz audio up in the mids here. You know, it's just like the visual EQ. My brain just works that way. There's no right or wrong. It's just use the tool that makes sense to you and that gets you the results you want. All right, next Node sermon's over. I'm going to call this sat. I'm going to push a little bit of sat through color boost right here. I'm just going to go to about 10. Just kind of want to make everything a touch warmer. And I'm going to leave it there. Then I'm going to go to the next node and I'm going to call this adjust. This is where I like to dive in on individual YRGB. I like to just play with the curves and pull some things in and out just to kind of tighten up some sections. So I'm going to pull a touch of red out of the low mid. Just ever so slightly. Again, this image already looked so good coming out of camera. There's not a lot of surgery to be done. And then I'm going to pull a little bit of green out of the mid, just ever so slightly. All right, I'm going to audition that off, on. It's really subtle. This might be an episode that YouTube doesn't do justice for the color. I hope it translates. I really do. All right, I'm going to do skin. This will be like a little more complicated here. So let's do this. I want to make sure, because we do have some daylight coming in, and we intentionally, I just want to address this real quick too. You notice this post right here. In the wide shot, there's more of these elements in the room where one of the faces, like this face is facing the windows, and then this face here is facing artificial light. These are intentionally slightly different temperatures because if they were matched perfectly, this column would disappear, right? So by allowing the sunlight to come in and make its statement on everything facing frame left, and then let the supplemental fixtures, create the room light or the artificial light, what it does is it helps separate surfaces, and it gives my eye, even not seeing a wide shot, I have a sense that there's daylight coming in from in front of her, and then the house is illuminated by lamps. We see this practical right here that's on. In a wide shot, we had some more practicals you could see. And I might do the wide shot on another episode. That might be good. But anyway, that's intentional. We wanted the daylight to feel a touch cooler than the natural, or I'll say natural light, the house light, the fixtures and the stuff we supplemented. So anyway, that's the reason. It wasn't a mistake. It's an intentional choice. All right, on our skin, I'm going to go down here to my selector. I'm going to grab my 3D keyer, and I'm going to just key off her forehead and nose and cheek. I'm going to Shift H to see what I've captured. I'm going to grab my additive. I want to grab some of her fingers right in here. And I'm going to grab the top part of her hand. And you can see there is some magenta in her fingers that's playing off of her jeans, bouncing off her jeans. So this is going to let us clean up some stuff. So it looks like we've got her neck right here pretty good. We've got her face right there. All right. I don't mind a little spill in the hair. Her hair has some skin tone in it. It's fine. I'm going to just grab the clean black over here, tighten it up a little bit if I can, but it doesn't bother me if I can't. I'm going to grab my black clip and just pull it up a little bit. I'm not going to overdo it. Almost kill that entire little credenza with it. That's pretty cool. And then my clean white's just going to make sure that I've got, I'm not losing her, that I'm bringing her back out. I'm going to blur it just a touch, ever so slightly. Just a touch of denoise. And probably no post filter. Okay. Going to pop open the effects. I want to grab color compressor. I'm going to put that on, and I'm going to switch my scopes to vector scope. I want to compress her skin tone to be more consistent with where I want her to be versus some of this bleed or this like bounce magenta stuff happening. I'm going to grab something in here in her forehead, and I can see that right there as a selection. So I'm going to go with that for now. Let's just bump it up about 2/3, and then let's bump the saturation compression up. So it's going to just start to tighten up all those things. If I audition this effect off, you can see, and then on, off, on. It's really subtle. Again, this is probably a more subtle episode than some, but what it's doing is it's tightening up on the scope. You can see that now her skin is riding the skin line, and if I kill that, it spreads out. Notice how it might be kind of small, sorry, but notice how it is just so spackled here and a little bit below the skin tone line. And when I do this, now it tightens up. And then I'm going to take the offset wheel, and I'm just going to roll it up to just ride that line a little bit more and just give me a little more saturation on her, because I'm going to push it out toward, toward the edges, which makes it more saturated. All right, I'm going to come back here, Shift H to unsolo. And now I can see her skin tone, and I can audition this off and then on. So this is off, on. Look at that. Off, a little blander, a little paler. She kind of blends in with the wall. On. Now she's got warmth and energy in her skin tone. So feeling really good. Okay, let's jump to the last couple of nodes. I'm going to do a little bit of kind of effecty stuff on this one. So this is going to be lab color space, and I'm going to right click color space, put this in lab. I've talked about it before on other episodes, but lab is a color space that sees red, yellow, green, and blue more like the human eye, just more like, I guess, purely rendered. I don't know, that's probably not the right word. There's colorists cringing out there because I said that. But as I understand it, it allows you to work with yellow natively, which I think is on the blue channel. If I push this up, yeah, it's like pushing true yellow into the shot. Anyway, so what I like to do with the lab node is if you play with your shadows and highlights with it, it kind of, I hate to say it's like a magic bullet, but in a sense, what it does for me when I pull the shadows down in a lab node, what it does is it kind of sucks some of the warmy, muddy tones out of the shadows, out of the lower stuff, and it just tightens up the bottom end. I'm using music analogies again. It tightens up that flabby kick drum, be a little punchier and tighter, and cleans up visually, kind of like an EQ does on low end in a mix. So I'm just going to drop this down to about -3.5 maybe. And when I hit enter, you're going to see it happen. Boom, right there. All right, camera off for a sec. Did you see what it does? It with her hair and her face. I love how it makes her hair separate from her face. This is off. There's just a little bit of a red overall kind of haze to everything still. And now I'm going to pop it, and it's taking everything that's in the lower regions of brightness, and it's pulling red out. And it makes her hair just really become rich and separate from her face and the wall. So last but not least is sharpening. So I'm going to do a little bit of this, just going to roll this down to like 0.48. And then I'm going to come over here to mid detail, and I'm going to put about 25% mid detail in, and watch what it does. Boom. You can see it if I toggle this off and on. Like back here, like on the column, the depth of field, it's out of focus because it's out of the depth of field. When I kick it on, it brings a little definition. It doesn't change how blurry it is or out of focus it is, but it just brings a little more definition to the whole image. And you can see off, like look at her hair right here, off. Oops, sorry. Like it's off. Now if I kick it on, it just tightens up everything ever so slightly. Okay. I think we are kind of done. Let's walk through what everything's doing real quick. So denoising, just taking care of a little tiny bit of kind of ISO 800 noise from the Gemini and these shadows. Exposure, just popping this stuff up to get it a little healthier. Watch the scopes. When I click primaries, my blue is going to come up because of pulling the gain over to the blue. Ready, 3, 2, 1, boom. Now my highlights. This is the couch you're seeing right here. It's right there. Those are equaled out, so my whites feel white. I haven't lost the texture in this couch. It's not blown out. Contrast, just putting a little bit of contrast in using my curves. Saturation, using color boost right here. I might actually even go up a little more, like 12.5. Now, she's looking a little bit like a redhead. Adjustment's going to pull a little bit of that red out of the shadows and pulled out a touch of green that I sometimes feel like the red sensors have. I like what that does for her jeans. Off, it's a little bit red, maybe a touch of green. On, her jeans feel more true light blue. Skin tone is where the magic happens right here. 3, 2, 1, kaboom. Makes her pop. I actually might even just bring her skin out a little more. Pretty easy to do that, right? It's isolated, so just bring it up. Off, on. Look at that. Now lab, we're just going to suck some red out of the low end. Skadoosh, there it is. And then sharpening is on. That actually might be a little much now to look at it. I'm going to pull that back just a touch. It doesn't need much. It is amazing. All right. I feel like that is pretty jamming. All right, peeps. That is it. Probably the shortest episode I've ever done. It was a simple shot because it was well lit, well designed. Our gaffer Josh and DP Chris, Josh Sims and Chris Fake DP'd. It just came together really nicely. So we were able to move around in this room and shoot almost every shot with very little light movement. It was really crazy. So anyway, man, thank you.